I didn't have a lathe, so I constructed this wooden jig to hold the bolt in place so I can spin it with the impact driver. I'm just sanding down the flare because when you punch these bolts out, they flare out at the ends. So here I'm trying to make sure that it fits right in that slot in the suspension arm, using a caliper, measuring the diameter, and it's still slightly too big, so I'm gonna fit that bolt back onto the wooden jig and take off a little bit more material and just trying to make the diameter constant throughout. Almost done with this one, and there are 3 bolts, so you have to do it 3 times. And here I'm fitting that bolt back into the jig and using a tap bit, I believe it's the M6, and just trying to tap the threads out. And here I am marking and punching the hole. It's about 3/4 of an inch below the original hole and center in the middle. So here I took that point and I'm just drilling out with the bit size that's 1 smaller than the 1/2. It's not 1/2, it's actually 12 millimeters that I want, but I'm doing 1 size smaller than that. So yeah, just going through the routine here. Make sure you put the cutting fluid on there too, so it doesn't overheat during the drilling process. So here I'm just taking a punch and transferring the hole through to the other arm, and this is the important part. You want that exactly aligning that other hole, the 2 holes on the 2 arms to be in exact alignment. So that this step is important. Okay, so here I ordered a 12 millimeter drill bit from Amazon and finally able to drill through the right size for that shaft bolt, the A5 shock absorber shaft bolt to fit through. Yeah, ensuring a lot of cutting fluid to cool down the metal piece during this drilling process. So here I'm reassembling all the components back into place, and this is important. Make sure you apply some kind of grease, lubricant between the bushings on the ends, on both ends of the shock absorber, and the shaft holding it in place. So there, the arm. I'm putting everything, the whole assembly together separately on my dining table in the garage, or formerly my dining table. So looks like there. So I had a little bit of trouble getting the top part in position, and yeah, so applying more grease and to the top shaft. I think I had it on the wrong orientation, so I had to reverse it. But yeah, it looks like I'm close to being done. So I'm done. And so now you fit those bolts, which will hold the whole assembly to the bottom of the steering column. And there's no other way to do it. Just take a hammer and tap those bolts in, because it's a press fit. It's a really, really tight press fit. And in retrospect, I should have gone a piece of wood in between the hammer and the bolt head, so it doesn't crush the bolt heads down. But I guess it wasn't too bad of a violation. Now I'm going on to, okay, so this here I'm securing the assembly in place so it doesn't swing around. And yeah, so I'm just tapping the upper suspension arm into place, into the press fit bolts. And once that's done, yeah, the two suspension arms need to get press fitted into the bolts, and that's how they're held in place. And then now just I'm applying some Loctite, and then just screwing in the 3 screws holding everything in position, in place. And here I'm just fast forwarding because this part is pretty self-explanatory. What is it? Tightening those nuts down, secure the whole assembly in place. And this is important right here. This part, this is what I want. The no collision. I verified that. So this is what the final configuration of the 165mm A5 Air suspension dampener looks like. I got the wheel and the brake caliper reinstalled. These cables are zip tied down in place. And so let's take her out for a spin and see how she performs. Notice here, this is the major modification I made so that the 165mm air shock absorber can be better accommodated. All right, so I'm just riding around here testing how the scooter feels with the new 165mm A5 shock absorber. This is in single motor drive, single rear motor drive, and it feels really solid, really stable, very easy to control, very natural to ride. And here I'm gonna make a pretty close pass by the camera so you can see how quiet and steady the scooter is. So here I'm gonna show you what the suspension looks like when I'm forcing it down. Could have done a better job with the camera view. Here accelerating with dual wheel drive, and it's hard to tell, but it is a very, very violent launch when you are actually on this thing. Again, another dual wheel drive launch. And then this last clip, just going fast past by the cameraman. You see that? Very, very smooth, no instability, no wobble whatsoever. And here I strap the camera to the bottom of the scooter front assembly. Show you what happens when I accelerate. This is in single wheel drive, so as I accelerate, the wheel, not the wheel, but the scooter tilts up quite a bit. Not as much as the 190 though. The 190 was grotesque. This one's a lot more acceptable, even in single. But here is dual wheel drive, and it barely separates. So yeah, I couldn't tell that this was an A5 shock absorber in dual wheel drive. I mean, the suspension dampening is amazing, very, very effective. But as far as the tilting the scooter up in dual wheel drive, you don't really get a lot of that. Here's single wheel drive, so the separation between the wheel and the top of the suspension is more noticeable. Then I switched to dual wheel drive here, and it was very level the whole time, and does an awesome job at absorbing the shock from the unevenness of the road. See how bad the road here is, but it didn't matter. Here's another big pothole. So just riding through and just testing. Here I'm not going very fast. Again, there is a single motor drive. I saw that there was some festivities down the street, so I decided to investigate. Went over and here's some firecrackers. There were firecrackers right there that just went off. I'm gonna make a U-turn here. This is gonna be in single wheel drive. So the separation between the wheel and the top of the assembly is gonna be higher. Right there, this is single wheel drive. And it's gonna come down, and I release the accelerator. I'll make a right here and change it to dual wheel drive. And you're gonna see that. It's almost not noticeable. Right? Yeah, so this is, it's very level. And yeah, what can I say? It's one of the best modifications I've made.